Plains black box. Let's get back to some politics, because some members of Congress, they want you to have better access to public records. Joining us now, California Republican Darrell Issa, who is leading the charge in the House. And Congressman, after what happened with Lois Lerner, you keep fighting and fighting and fighting to get data. Are you going to be able to make any progress on this effort?
We are. Tom, when Elijah Cummings and I famously were seen at odds in specific discovery, people said you can't do things together. But the fact is, in the last Congress, the Data Act, the FOIA, which was an information reform that would stop something like Obamacare's website from being a catastrophe again, were passed. In this Congress, a bill that should have passed last Congress, but the Senate acted too late, that reforms the Freedom of Information Act, is something that Elijah Cummings and I are working shoulder to shoulder on, that in fact changes the priority of whether you get information that the government has from you have to prove you have a right to get it, to the opposite. You have an absolute right to get it, and government can only withhold it if they can show a compelling reason to withhold it, like national security. This is something where Elijah and I feel strongly. We're moving it quickly. The Senate intends on marking up their version of it in a few days under the new leadership, and we expect to make this law this year.
Well, we can't let this time go by because of the fact that you're working with Elijah Cummings, but we have the tape that it reminds us of not too long ago. It wasn't all that friendly. Let's roll it.
You continue this theme on your if you will sit down and allow me to ask the question. I am a member of the Congress of the United States of America. I am tired of this.
So are you guys buddies now, or what happened?
You know, Elijah and I has always had to bifurcate two things. He, quite frankly, I think was mostly trying to stop the kind of discovery that we thought was appropriate in Fast and Furious, in Benghazi, in Lois Lerner's IRS situation. And we came to difficult times from time to time. But behind the scenes, our mutual belief that this president, the next one, and the next one have to be more transparent, and we have to institutionally change that, is something we've been able to work on. And this is an example. Freedom of Information Act reform, like whistleblower and other works that we've worked on, these bills will fundamentally change for this president and the next president the ability to withhold unreasonably information. You might note that many of the investigations we did, FOIA, these Freedom of Information discoveries, whether by the press or by firms that specialize in getting discovery, sometimes got out ahead of congressional inquiries. So it's a powerful tool. It's one that we want to invest in. It's one that you're going to see bipartisan support. We just have to keep this bill strong as it gets through the House and the Senate, so the American people get the access to the information they deserve.
All right, so this is about FOIA. This is about more information taxpayers can get from FOIA. That's the Freedom of Information Act. But, sir, here's the problem. The IRS was only audited by the Inspector General. When is the U.S. Congress going to have agencies actually probing federal units or federal agencies? When is the IRS going to be actually investigated, not just an audit by the IG? We're talking, when are we going to have the compulsory interrogatories, the subpoenas, the depositions? We have federal agencies, investigating companies all the time. Why is it only we get little audits of things like the IRS problem?
Well, first of all, I think that you should never understate the power of an Inspector General. Empowering these IGs to be independent and to go after it has borne a lot of fruit for all of us. Russell George, who's the IG, is slow and methodical, but ultimately his work has been good. The answer to your question, other than the IGs, is government doesn't do a very good job investigating itself. So the transparency that is necessary, the public, the press, and Congress is essential if we're going to audit those. You just had Colonel North on before, and he was talking about corporations and governance. The fact is, no board of directors would tolerate being locked out of knowing every nuance of the compensation, the spending, and so on of a corporation if they're responsible to stockholders. And we have to insist that both the stockholders, the American people, and the board have access to this information. And that's what we're trying to do with the FOIA reform.
We wish you well. It sounds like you're going to have success with this term of Congress. Congressman Darrell Issa, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
You bet. Well, up next, the measles vaccine debate.